Welcome to another of my videos about learning how to use Cohesity and learning the features of the Cohesity data management platform. I'm Alistair Cook, and this is again my Cohesity cluster that has been running in my lab for something over a year now, protecting all of the virtual machines in my lab. And you may notice that I'm back on my Raspberry Pi. I enjoyed using it for Python, so I thought I might use it again when I discovered that there's another tool set that we have here in the GitHub page from the Cohesity developer program, but from the GitHub/Cohesity. There's a repository that's not quite pinned to the top. It's a little layer or two down, is the Cohesity Ansible Role. I'm a fan of Ansible. It allows you to do agent-free management of, in my case, it was a bunch of Linux boxes. I was running a bunch of disposable Linux boxes that I needed consistent configuration on. I use Ansible to configure them. So that was my primary use of Ansible so far. The README Markdown file doesn't have a lot in it, but it does have a link to the online reference for the Ansible role, and so we've got the usual fairly extensive set of documentation here on this particular agent role using Cohesity with Ansible. Walks us through a little bit of what we need and prerequisites for the role. I have already installed Ansible on my Raspberry Pi. It's 2.77 is the current version, and it's running something that's not Windows, so we should be happy. Configuration, it says that we just install using Ansible Galaxy, so let's copy that to the clipboard and pop ourselves into an elevated command prompt and then paste that Ansible command in and wait while the install completes. Alright, now we've got the install completed. What's the next step? How to use. So I'm getting started, set up your inventory. I'm going to work with the default inventory location of /etc/ansible/hosts. That seems good. And now I'm looking for setting up in the inventory where my cluster is. You know, the first thing they want to do in here is deploy some agents to some clients, and you can see in here there's some variables being passed inside the playbook. I'd like to do something a little simpler. Let's look at this demo of collecting facts and see whether we can use the Ansible collect facts function to retrieve some data about our environment. Okay, so we've got an inventory file mentioned here. I'm going to have this text for it. Popping back into my terminal, if I change directory to the Ansible folder, and there's already a hosts file there. If I edit that hosts file, and let's just put it at the top here where it will be nice and visible to us. We'll paste in and then edit the IP address to match my lab, 192.168.20.22. Control X, yes, right, hosts. Okay, now I have an inventory file. Next thing I should be able to do after that is go and do the collect facts. So I need a fresh text file to collect all these facts. Let's copy that text and then pop back into our command prompt. I'm going to create my playbook in my home directory, and let's call it facts, Cohesity facts. YML. Okay, if I paste that in. Right, I think I still need to specify my cluster virtual IP address in here. I don't think it's being pulled out of the config. But that should be enough. that out. Okay, it's going to go to the inventory directory, not to my current working location. Alright, let's see how that runs. Alright, we're starting to run. Haven't had any errors yet, that's got to be good. Okay, we got facts out, successfully returned. Let's take a look at the facts that we got. So we're using the 6.4 release, we're using a virtual robo, it's a member of my Active Directory domain, it's called CO cluster, cloud tier, SSD tier, hard drive tier storage. We've got some identification, so we've got a reasonable amount of information coming in there. Protection jobs we've got, a VMware-based protection job. We can see in this YAML quite a lot of good data about what's in our configuration. We can see the various jobs. We've got another job here, which is my Outlook, Office 365 Outlook protection job. Another job now. I think we got to another job. No, there's another job. Starts with an alerting policy. So that's going to back up a view. Cool. Lots of good information here in the facts that are retrieved. Oh, we've got backup runs as well. So we can see if we're having successful runs or unsuccessful runs recently. Nice. Backup run, copy run. Nice, just picking up lots and lots of job history of backing up individual virtual machines as well. There's a lot of data being retrieved back in here. This JSON by itself could be used to write some fairly comprehensive documentation as well. Some issues there with backing up my vCenter server, usually because it's got so many different disks attached to it that sometimes the snapshots get out of sync. So individual vCenter machine details coming through. That really is nice. Lots and lots of data coming through about the state of the environment just from first demo example of pulling the facts from the cluster itself. Alright, I think we've got a lot of information just coming from those facts. Let's take a look at what the other demos are in here. So we've got agent management demo that allows us to deploy agents out to machines. So we've got some Linux machines defined in here. I believe this goes through and works with just the Linux machines. Make sure with the gather facts that we can actually connect to the Cohesity server as our first activity. Remove the Linux agents from the existing, presumably out-of-date Linux agents, and deploy new Linux agents to every Linux box that's in that inventory file. That's nice. That would work very nicely, and particularly you could integrate this into wider reaching Ansible playbooks. Source management in here, so the ability to add backup sources. So we've got some VMware backup types defined in here, VMware source types. We've got some NAS definitions in here as well. There's quite a lot of capability in here that looks pretty cool. I think this could be extremely useful for us to protect, to set up protection jobs in a automated manner. I think I like this as the approachability of the functions far better than I like working directly with the REST API or even some of the other automation tools we've looked at. Job management, so registering all Linux or Windows hosts, all VMware hosts, setting up protection. I think this is something that will be extremely useful for large organizations and will very quickly allow you to work with large populations of virtual machines, and in particular integrate Cohesity management into your wider Ansible based management. I think this is so cool. But I don't think I'm going to have time today to actually go much deeper than that. There's so much cool stuff in here that in my lab environment I'm just not going to need to use. So I do suggest, if you are working in a large-scale environment that has Cohesity and currently uses Ansible for any of your management, that you have a bit of a dig through this. There is quite a lot of capability in here, right down to restoring files and machines. You could use this as part of a CI/CD or DevOps methodology for testing. This could be incredibly useful at large-scale environments. However, I don't have a large-scale environment to play with in my lab, so I'm going to leave it there. I think Ansible is a really good tool for managing infrastructure, and if you're using it to manage other parts of your infrastructure, using it to manage Cohesity seems like a really easy shift. I'm Alistair Cook. Stay tuned for more videos as I learn more about the Cohesity data platform and learn more ways we can use it.